All right, hello and welcome everyone to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott. I'm joined by a very giggly luchador there. We are here for the red carpet preview of WrestleMania 40 or WrestleMania XL. Hold on, I wanted to get it. Yeah. Anyway, XL WrestleMania 40. We're going to be going through the entire card, and as you can see, we've dressed up for it just like we did last year. Rob, we got the red carpet special. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. So stick with us. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
It's been so long, it feels, since we've done one of these streams, Rob, but it's great to be back. Great to be in the mood for WrestleMania. We've got a few people join us in the comments already. Critic Galaxy says, yo, and Sludge Sport says, hello, guys. Thank you so much for coming back, guys. Really appreciate your support for the channel, as always. Whether you're here for the first time or, like our friends there, been here a few times before, we really do appreciate you. Press subscribe if you haven't already. But let's get into it, man. I don't know how this stream, if you said to me it's going to last 5 hours, I'd believe you. We're going to try not to do that, but it's always difficult with Mania. It's always difficult when we haven't had a chat for a while. Acrylic says, I made that boy bleed. Yeah, there's a lot has happened in wrestling since we last did a stream for Elimination Chamber, including the Rock turn Hollywood 2.0, which I've really enjoyed. But we'll get into that in a bit. We're going to go through every single one of the matches. Of course, on this channel, we're quite often joined by Lucas and Dan. They are actually going to be back tomorrow for another preview show as well. So we're on the red carpet preview duty tonight, and they're on the regular predictions and preview, holding it down for a stare as well. So come back and join those boys tomorrow. But let's get on with it, Rob. Well, first of all, we're on that, not so much road anymore. We're on that red carpet to WrestleMania. How are you feeling about it?
I'm worn out already, mate, and we've only just started the week. That's the job. Like, I'm trying to keep up with so much wrestling content.
I know. There's so much to.
It's great. It's crazy.
And that's it about WrestleMania week. It's not just WWE, is it?
No. I think we've got a delay.
I think so.
Yeah, I have to like weave in and out of it. Look, I'm excited for it. I watched Raw. It wasn't the best, but you know, we got. So I do have some issues with Raw. So I don't know if you want to quickly talk about that before we go on to Mania.
Well, last week's Raw was highly praised.
It was.
It was hard to top that.
What annoys me, and you have two matches on the Raw card. Now, granted, one of them's a Bloodline Rules match, so people can get involved. I'm not against that, right? If anything, it's a little taster of what we've got to come for Mania. I love it. But this is what annoys me. The match with Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed, the ref didn't call a DQ. So technically, that match is still going on somewhere, right? It wasn't called or counted out as a DQ. And then the Bloodline Rules match ended with them just standing there raising the belts. Why didn't Solo pin Seth? Because it was a Bloodline Rules match.
So I haven't managed to watch.
We're just not counting matches anymore. Sorry?
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't seen too much of Raw, to be fair. I only saw clips, so I didn't even realize that's how it all went down.
It was, other than that, I like it. It was all right. It was really, really good. It wasn't, I'd be honest, I think last week's was better.
Yeah.
Maybe the week before that. Like the way it's been building, it's kind of built, and we're at this point, we're at the top of the roller coaster. So are we ready to kind of just teeter over and go down now? Or are we gonna keep riding it up? But it feels a bit like that. But for a go home show, I've seen worse.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good one. And to be fair, we've still got SmackDown to go, and that might change what we think about predictions and stuff like that. So we will be coming back, of course, as we always do before PLEs, with our build-up show on the night of the PLE, both Saturday and Sunday. That's going to be great fun as well. So, yeah, come and join us there, guys. But we are locking in our predictions tonight. even without seeing SmackDown. We got to get him done. And then again, the other boys will get that done tomorrow as well. As the critic says, 2 matches are still going on. And Sludge says, hot take. I didn't like last week's Raw at all. That is a hot take. I've not heard any negativity about it. So that is, what was it about it you didn't like, Sludge? But we won't spend too much time going back to Raws. We're going to move ahead. Again, we're on that red carpet. I've worn my special red tie, Rob. You got red in a mask. And we are on the road to WrestleMania well and truly now. So let's start getting into it. Now, today, a lot of news has come out. A lot of news. We've got Clash at the Castle coming back to the UK. It's going to be in Scotland, in Glasgow in just a few months' time. Hopefully, we're going to be able to do some coverage for that, just like we did on the other Clash in Cardiff and, of course, Money in the Bank here in London as well. If you haven't already, go back and check out our content that we did there. We interviewed the likes of LA Knight at Money in the Bank. We spoke to Bailey at that show as well. And in the past, had great conversations with the likes of Bianca Belair, Imperium, and Rhea Ripley, just to name a few. So quite a few on the channel if you haven't already seen those. Sludge says most of it was just showcase matches, and we had a pointless Ricochet and Ivar match and another women's tag match. Useless. I'm hearing a lot of good things about the Ricochet match this week, though. Again, I didn't manage to see it.
Sorry, I will just say, I understand what Sludge is saying, that showcase matches and things like that, but we're kind of in this really, really weird time frame now. I always feel like this at the beginning of, like, I'd say the start of Mania week, right? Everything's locked in, so the only thing you can do now is kind of continue developing what's happened, or if you push it too much down your throats, it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, fans will get sick of it before it even happens. But that Ricochet and Ivar match was incredible. I don't know if you, obviously, Scott, I know you said you haven't you've dipped in and out, but you haven't seen too much. They keep saying that Ricochet is very Puma-like. And then earlier they called him, he was a prince of something like this. So, obviously, for those who are in the nod and understand it, he was Prince Puma in Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground, yeah.
Are they bringing something back? I don't know.
That's interesting. Okay.
He's on a good run at the moment. Like four wins in 4 matches back to back, all on Raw. All of them have been in great matches. He got better and better.
It's crazy as well because the card is so stacked already for WrestleMania. Of course, we're going to be breaking it down throughout the stream. But not just today did we get the confirmation that Clash at the Castle is coming back. We've also got a report of what looks to be a legitimate match listing for both night 1 and night 2. Now, last year, WWE announced it with a graphic. So when it started going around early today, I assume that's what happened because everybody's talking about it being official. But yeah, it hasn't actually come out as official just yet, but it looks likely. It's come from Dave Meltzer. Now, I know some people aren't a fan of Meltzer's work, but he is still very credible in the space, in my opinion. Now, let's get on to some of the matches. Jonesy Chats Wrestling, thanks for joining us, buddy. Says Mania Night 1 looks a banger. I'm expecting Tama Tonga to turn up. Interesting that. And also Cena and Austin to help Cody on night 2. Now we're gonna dig deep into the possible scenarios we got there, maybe conspiracy and all that kind of stuff as well.
I was going to say, can I just say, and I say this out of much love and respect to Dan and Lucas, but I'm so glad we've been able to split it as to 2 of us and another 2, because I feel like this is going to be a long pod anyway.
It would be about 12 hours.
Bro, we'd still be here tomorrow morning if we had all 4 of us. There's so much to discuss. So, obviously, I know you tuned in to us, but tomorrow tune in to them to see what their opinions are. Obviously, we've been talking in the group chat quite a bit, but we've been trying to keep things hush. So then when it comes onto the stream, that it doesn't ruin anything. So definitely. But so it's going to be quite a lot of hopefully coming over this week at least. So
definitely, we are again coming thick and fast with these previews, including, as we said a moment ago, on the night itself as well, or on both nights. Again, of course, WrestleMania being a 2-night affair these days. Jones says, mate, it's already looking too busy for 2. But we'll get to that in a minute. Josie says, I think this is the best built Mania in years. I'd have to agree in some ways. In others, I was a bit concerned about some of these matches. We'll get to that in a bit. But I do feel like in the past week, there's definitely been progression in matches that I was hoping to see progression for, and actually matches that I'm shocked are taking place on the Mania card. But yeah, again, we'll get to that in a minute. So what we'll do, we'll actually go through the rumored night, the list of each night. Now, doesn't look like this is going to be all of the matches or anything like that, but this is at least what it's looking like we're going to see on Saturday and what it's looking like we're going to see on Sunday. So we'll go through what the night 1 and night 2 lineups look to be, and then we'll start breaking them down individually in a moment as well. So you've got Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Then the tag championship is ladder matches taking place on night 1 as well. Apparently, we got Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Jimmy versus Jay. Bianca, Jade, and Naomi versus Damage Control. Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Seth and Cody Rhodes. Of course, we know that is definitely on night 1. Night 2 looks like it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, the Pride versus the Final Testament. And like I said, I haven't watched that much lately. When I saw that, I was like, who versus who? And then I realized, oh, they've got names now, these two groups.
They have names.
LA Knight versus AJ Styles, Logan Paul versus KO and RKO. Then we've got Bayley versus Io Sky, and of course, Cody versus Roman, which you would imagine is closing the entire weekend. Now, what are your thoughts at the moment, mate, as far as, you know, night 1 versus night 2? Do they look evenly spread to you? Is there anything you would change?
Night 1 is a little bit more stronger in base of what's happening. However, I think there's a lot of star power on both nights, like night 1 and night 2. It's crazy to think that the match that I'm least excited for is Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Like if they took that off the card, you wouldn't miss it. And I say that in respect to them, but they've done well to build it. They've had the RKO or RKO or whatever they've called this whole thing. I just feel they could have had. I mean, it's saying that the AJ and LA Knight thing. It was like, oh, we need to do something for Mania to keep you both busy, so we're going to put you together. But they could have just put them all of them together and made it like a 5-way IC match.
I mean, you've already got a 64-person tag title match, so you know it's getting a bit much already. But,
I know, but you know what I mean? Like they could have done something like that.
We'll get to the individual concerns about each matches and the things we're excited about. Of course, we don't want to make this just negative, but we've got to be realistic. Some of these matches have been built better than others and make more sense than others. But I'm looking forward to everyone getting a nice Mania payday and hopefully giving us a fantastic show. You said something interesting there where night 1 to you looks stronger than night 2. I remember feeling like, I'm sure it was last year where I felt like night 1 was so much better than night 2 overall. Yeah, it definitely was last year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And of course, the ending of night 2 kind of probably played into that, but. Yeah, quite interesting. If that is the case again, Sludge Sports says 12 amazing matches. Sludge is well up for it, and we say we got a comment again from Jonesy saying The Rock versus Cody seems like the match everyone wants here. The crowd are absolutely into it. It is mad that it does feel like that is the feud now, doesn't it? But again, we'll touch on that when we get to that match later on. Mysterio match is such filler. It does not belong on the card for me. I get the story and I get they're working towards it now, and it kind of starts to make sense, but. Yeah, anyway. A critic says Becky to win and Randy to win, and coming in strong with the all caps here, Cody to win as well. Sludge Sport says it's going to be a banger of a match, but I don't care about this match. What match was that, Sludge, you weren't caring about? That was that the RKO one? Same
I don't know if you put that in as... I was
when you were saying it, I think that was the last one we were talking about. Jones says, I think Bianca has really dropped hard down the card here. I do. Well, don't you think she's...
Nah, bro. I mean, like, look at it from this way, right? She's been in this moment where she's had the title. She's done what she can. Yeah, I was
saying for ages she shouldn't be in the title picture, but...
Yeah, but now she's not in the title picture.
It is weird. It's weird that, but it's last minute. This match was, like, made days ago. It's just very weird.
Yeah. Do you know what the big issue is? So I would say as well, they're doing this thing, and I feel like no one at the moment can come out and help Bayley, and Bayley can't come out and help anyone because she hasn't fixed the bridges that she burnt with people when she was a heel. Now she's the babyface. They're doing everything they can to make her legitimately stay on her own. So I think after she comes out, if she wins the title, obviously we'll get into that discussion during this pod. But my thought is, if she, let's say for example, she does, then she's got to basically fix those broken relationships. Her coming out now, it makes the whole thing
confusing, sort of.
Yeah, like it's because so she hasn't got help from Damage Control, so now she's going to get help from. She needs to be singled out to stand out, and annoyingly, that's what they've got to kind of do with us. So this whole Bianca, Jade Cargill, Trinity thing, yes, it's last minute, but I'm for it, man. They looked amazing.
Like yeah, it looks. I like the idea, but just can't get them thrown together so late just makes it feel a little weird. Sludge was talking about the Logan, Kevin, and Randy. Thanks for clarifying that, mate. And the critic says, "Can we appreciate Ivan's top rope moonsault?" I didn't see it, but
bro, someone that big, cool. He should not be moving like a cruiserweight. End of discussion. It is ridiculous.
He's done stuff like that before, to be fair, though, hasn't he? I've seen him do. Yeah, but anyway, full credit to the guy. Anyway, so Jones says best thing to come out of Bianca match for me would be for Jay to turn heel and start the singles feud. That's a good shout. Weirdly enough, I feel like she was acting like a heel when she was on SmackDown, Jade. Like, because her character is like, I'm amazing. Kind of like Bianca's character in some ways. But yeah, man, there's a lot of talent, as the critic says. Right, let's jump into the matches, mate. We've spent a good 16 minutes kind of getting ready to talk
about. We've not even spoke about much anything.
But let's get into it probably. Sludge's got to jump out for a bit, but you might be back. Thank you, mate. As always, though, thanks for joining us. If you can't come back and join us live, of course, we are here on demand as well on YouTube. So, yeah, whether you're watching live or you're watching later on, thanks, guys. Jade is a lot more comfortable as a heel on the promo. Yeah, I think so. I think it kind of showed in that segment on SmackDown. Yeah, I think you're definitely right. So let's get into it. And again, we'll kind of do it like night one, night two, what we believe is the card. And we'll do it in the way it was read out just a moment ago as well. So let's get on with the Women's World Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. And I'm going to throw it over to you first, Rob, if that's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. I think this is going to be hard to call. I think maybe for all four of us, unless Lucas has a wild thought in his head. Sometimes you never know what's going through his head. But I just feel like you either continue to push Rhea with the Judgment Day thing. Are they kind of breaking? Is Dom kind of stepping away from it? There's a kind of if this happens, and this might happen, which affects this, which affects it. It's like a domino effect for Judgment Day. So it's very them going first. It doesn't really help give acknowledgement or any inkling of what's happening. But that being said, man, I don't think Becky needs the title. She really. Okay, she's released her book. She's doing this little tour thing that she's doing. I believe she's doing a book tour or something as she's going on with Raw and stuff like that on the road. Does she need a title right now? No. I mean, I know it sounds strange, but you've just released a book. Like that's your title.
That's your gimmick now. You can hold that, not the title. Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? You can talk about that and this whole build. And Becky doesn't need a title. I think in order for a new star to be established or even a star to really get a push, I think Rhea needs to retain because that next star will elevate. She can elevate the next star. So, as much as I'd love to see the title again. She had it
since Mania. Yeah. It was a different belt then. Obviously, they've changed the name.
No, they've done that. Yeah. But she's been a champion for a year.
Mania. Wow. So, ultimately, who's it going to be?
I'm going Rhea Ripley, but I do have a thing of I think Tiffany Stratton's winning Money in the Bank, and it's going to be Tiffy time.
Oh, okay. We're jumping ahead there, but interesting. So, yeah, Rhea Ripley, I think the same. Like, every now and then these people step away from the main event, and like Becky did a lot of work away from it, and that's exactly what I think she should have done. Drew's done the same, Bianca's doing the same, and it keeps things fresh. But eventually, they win those titles back, right? And it's like, when is that? But I think, as you say, she's doing this book tour stuff and whatever else. She don't really need the title at the moment. So, yeah, I wouldn't be massively annoyed, but I wouldn't be excited if she won the title. I wouldn't be going, I can't wait to see where we go next. Like, I think there's more story to tell with Rhea and the Judgment Day again, which again, ironically, this time last year, I was saying she don't need the title and she shouldn't have won Mania because the story was about her in Judgment Day, not her as a female singles wrestler. But they've kind of worked it back around a better these days. And also what they did recently when, as you say, you know, these seeds about the Judgment Day and, you know, Dom having to say, sorry guys, about kind of hanging out with Legado del Fantasma and all that kind of stuff as well. And like, didn't run it by you. I like that they're kind of acknowledging that stuff to use a Roman Reigns term. But quickly going to get to a few comments here as well. So Critic also like the moment on Raw from Ricochet doing a gymnastics back flip moonsault over the top rope. Okay, I definitely got to watch the clips on this match. So you're encouraging me now. And says Becky to smash the win. Jonesy says Rhea has to win. Becky has been booked like a joke this year, apart from the Chamber win. I think it was healthy for her to take a step back, though. So I know what you mean. She don't look as strong as she usually does. So maybe she's kind of owed one in that sense. A critic says, no, Becky will take the title, even though she doesn't need the title. And Joseph says, I'm not sure where to go next with Rhea after they almost need a Nicole Bass-like person in terms of build to debut who can intimidate Rhea. That would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, they kind of tried it with Nia Jax, didn't they? You know, and that feud, I think, was all right, to be fair, going into Chamber. And also says, I think Bianca should win. Should have been added to this match and made it a triple threat. Yeah, I'm surprised she wasn't, if I'm honest. Bear in mind, Rhea's been unstoppable on the streak. Ultimately, I agree with you. I think it's probably going to be Rhea Ripley and should be Rhea Ripley. So I'm going to go with my heart on this one.
I would also say, in regards to what Jonesy's chat's wrestling, it should have been Nia that was added. I mean, she had a feud with she had the thing with her Ripley and Nia. And obviously, that's been a thing. The whole thing with Becky and Nia, that's already been a thing.
And she's improved.
So like Nia's been. Is it the pawn in the whole thing? Like she's been that person that's kind of they've used her to go onto here to transition back again. It's like she's been the third person. So if anyone should have been added to this match, I personally think it should have been Nia.
Yeah, good point. I don't think you would have been calling for that 6 months ago, but here we are.
Crazy.
And it does show just how much how well she's done since she's come back. Critic says possible rivalry between Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. That would be a good one, I'm sure, further down the line. But at the moment, I do think they're going to keep them separate for a little bit. Separate. Yeah. There we go. Right. Let's move on to the next match. This is chaos. As I joked earlier on the 46-person ladder match. God, let's try and get through it. What have we got here? We've got the Awesome Truth.
A lot.
We've got the New Day. We've got the Judgment Day. We've got DIY. We've got
which is or Regeneration X.
Regeneration X.
Which
we've
is
got Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And we've got Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. So there's a lot going on in this match. And I got to be honest, mate, I can't bloody wait. I think it's going to be so cool. Now, Michael Cole on Raw basically said, the match continues till all belts are down, which makes it sound like they are making the title separate again. So going on that assumption, it's going to be a bit difficult to do this prediction. So we should probably pick two winners, I'm guessing. I mean, when you've got this many people in it, surely that's why they're doing that.
I mean, if you want, I can go first. I kind of have a scenario in mind of how it all happen. So I would say I'll make a one prediction, which is a bold one, which will be Awesome Truth are definitely going to be one of the teams to win the titles.
Okay, okay,
right, and I really want it to be Dunne and Tyler Bate to win the other set. I don't know which set they'll pull down, but the reason I think R-Truth will be part of it is because I feel like R-Truth's going to pull down one title of like one set of both titles, so the Raw ones, pull them down and climb down the ladder, and then the others are still up there.
Right, and then do they?
That's a typical R-Truth.
But then so that's a great spot. But then does Miz successfully get the other one, and they throw the other one down, or they try and get both versions and Damian Priest claws it back and at least takes
I think
one
it's just
back.
got to be R-Truth.
But then, is that not a good way to get around this story, though?
Truth, get the title.
But what if R-Truth does get them both, and then because of his error in judgment, they lose them both because he doesn't get both of them, and someone knocks him over before he can pick one of the others up?
Man, I don't know. I just think the idea of R-Truth, like Miz going grab the titles, R-Truth going up and
the wrong one,
the Raw titles, and then climbing back down again. He done what he was told.
So I was missing. So you think he's going to just grab the Raw, for example? One set. Yeah, I thought you meant he was going to grab a Raw and a SmackDown. That's what I think he'll do.
Oh, no. I think he's going to get one set of titles.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so Miz is like, go back up and get the others. And okay.
And then he gets knocked out, and then whoever else then goes up and gets the SmackDown ones. I think that's the easiest way to split them, and it makes sense to do it that way.
Okay. So is that one side of your prediction? Then you're going to go Awesome Truth do win a set.
Yeah, and I'm going to go Dunn and Tyler Bate. I
mean, you can, to be fair, you can say the same team's going to win both. So I guess we'll do it like that. You can get 2 points in this match. So
yeah.
So, but you're going to go
either or.
You're going to go Dunn and Tyler Bate.
Yeah, man, they're doing some great work at the moment. It'll be nice to see them have that, because our Awesome Truth don't need the titles so long. They just they need R-Truth to split the titles. Which
I think splitting them is
why they're in this.
Exactly, yeah. And he's been on fire lately. Like the storyline with the Judgment Day has been amazing. I know some people were like, "Oh, do we really need to see Awesome Truth in this day and age?" But I liked it when they got back together. And like, what else is The Miz going to be doing anyway? So like, why not?
Exactly.
Like, I think it's been good. A few comments to get to here. Critic says tag match. Let's think out everyone there. Who has a bigger rivalry with the Judgment Day? Tag team, yeah, definitely the Awesome Truth. Did the Hardy Boys turn up in this match? Says Jonesy, and Acrylic saying the Hardy Boys as well. Now, possible it is similar, right, to when they last come back. I know Matt was at Raw as a guest a little while ago, so you never know. But this match is stacked already, unless a team get taken out or something like that, which is possible. To be fair, I don't really see it happening because it just seems too chaotic at the moment, but it could again if they take a team out. These things do happen. I'm going to go with you on half of the prediction. I'm going to say Awesome Truth as well, because I think why would they not capitalize on R-Truth's insane popularity at the moment, and he deserves it. And it'd be a nice moment for him and the Miz together again. And it's not so bad when you haven't got all the tag titles wrapped up in one team. So I do think the same two teams are going to win. But then there's the other side of me that does feel like maybe will be a bit silly, grabs the wrong titles and loses out completely because of it. You know, grabs one of each. But because that spot, even though that's not what you meant, now I'm like, I do want to see that. All right, let's say Awesome Truth will do it. And I'm gonna throw up the graphic just to kind of help me again. I'm going to say... See, DIY seems a bit kind of obvious. It's not obvious, but like early. The New Day, I don't see winning it. Is there a chance of retention here? But do they need to get rid of him for Damien to cash in eventually, whenever that happens, if he ever remembers he has a briefcase?
Well, I feel like Judgment Day losing shows them cracks in the Judgment Day. It's like, let's, for example, let's say Ripley loses. Judgment Day loses,
or even just one, even one side of it. But okay, all right. I'm not going to go for a retention. Then I'm going to go. You know what? You kind of won me over, man. I'm going to do exactly the same as you. I'm going to go Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne as well. And I don't know if that's just the Brit in me hoping we see it, but there we go. It's locked in. I'm with you on that. The credit says WWE 2K24 sponsors Rebellious Noise on YouTube. not quite. But if they do want to throw some sponsorship money our way, we can have a conversation. But yeah. So let's move into the next match. Again, I think this match is going to be incredible. So I'm really looking forward to it. Next one to predict is one that has only really been thrown together recently, because Dragon Lee is suddenly a member of the LWO, going to be teaming up with fellow masked luchador, as you see, Rey Mysterio, taking on former LWO member in Santos Escobar, and former Mysterio family member in Dominic Mysterio. And that match last year was fantastic. And I did think that we were going to get again this year, maybe as hair versus mask and retirement match or whatever. But Ray seems like he's not slowing down just yet. So they're lingering it on. But that would be weird then if they had to do it again next year, wouldn't it? Can you really keep Dom heel that long? I mean, he's a great act at the moment, famously getting all the boos and whatever else. So which they're playing up to. But anyway, let's go on.
This is my thinking. Look, with saying if the Judgment Day band, strangely, they're kind of setting Dom for if Judgment Day goes, he's somewhere else already.
That's a good point. Yeah,
so I feel that he could probably get another year out of that, because I mean, the minute he becomes, let's say Judgment Day ends, and he join that the biggest star out of all them, strangely, is Dom. Like just in general for heat and stardom.
Yeah.
So
the most over.
It kind of sets up for that. So. Who's going first on this one, me or you?
I'll be fair, and I'll take over this time. I'm going to say, and again, you're trying to keep in mind the other matches and whether or not this is on this night and what kind of roller coaster ride they might be taking you on to kind of have too many lows or too many ups, so there's got to be a good balance. So does this end up being, who won last year, Ray or Dom?
Ray, wasn't it? Because he won whipping Dom.
Yeah, I remember Dom's entrance was fantastic. Let's have a look. Who won it last year? Ray won last year. I feel like Dom should win then if that's the case. So I'm going to go with the heels.
Rubber match, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think let's go for the heels. The baby faces look good on the last SmackDown. I know we've got another SmackDown to see, and they could kind of flip it again, but generally, that whole, it doesn't always work this way, but if one person goes into the PLE looking strong, they don't tend to be the one that wins the match. But who knows? But I'm going to go, I would say Legado del Fantasma, but we don't know if Dom's officially a member yet. They might be planting the seeds for that, as you say. Quickly going to get to this comment from a critic here. It's been playing Undisputed Story on 2K. The ending has been intrigued as your character ends up beating Roman. Then Roman goes on a break from WWE. So I think it's secret findings to signal that Roman is going to lose to Cody. Oh, okay. Laying the seeds there with a video game. Have you got a new game, Rob?
Of course.
I haven't played WWE 2K since 15, maybe.
It's good.
I just felt like they were getting terrible every year. It was the same game. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day. I'm glad you're enjoying it. You never know. Maybe someday I will partake again. Right, yeah, I'm gonna go for the heels in this one, mate. What are you saying?
Strangely, you'd think I would go for the faces. However, I feel like the faces are gonna lose, and Carlito's gonna turn on them to cause that.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I do think Carlito's gonna turn as well. He's an incredible heel. So,
So I'm going heels. I mean, as much as I'd love to see, I feel like Dragon Lee is I hate saying the next Rey Mysterio. Like, you don't have to be the next.
They've had a few of them.
I mean, look, if you want to know how many they've kind of had or even attempted to use as the next, I done a Rey Mysterio Hall of Fame video last year.
You did, yeah.
And I mentioned all of them, and it clearly shows that there's only going to be one Rey Mysterio, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I feel like Dragon Lee, because he's been kind of linked with Ray and nurtured in that way,
the right place, the right time, innit?
It could be the next perfect luchador for WWE. That's how I'll put it. With that being said, though, I think he's about to eat a big loss at WrestleMania because of Carlito and his apple.
Yeah, I do think Carlito needs to turn heel.
See, I don't know because you haven't seen much of the programming. So Dragon Lee come out and Carlito was kind of just like staring a death ray through.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise, would it? So yeah, let's go with that. Are you bonus pointing anything like that? Or...
No, I'm just gonna go with the heels winning. I haven't seen a table in a while, but the amount of wild bonus points I've thrown out, I think I'm bottom. So
we haven't updated it for a while. We'll have to find it. Our predictions table does end on WrestleMania. It goes seasonally. So WrestleMania to WrestleMania. I've won a season. You've won a season. Dan's won a season. Lucas hasn't. And again, we haven't looked at the table for a while. He could be doing better than we all realize, and he could be about to win the whole thing. So we'll see how it goes come Monday, when of course we'll try as well to do Raw after Mania coverage as well. So keep that in mind, guys. We've got a lot coming your way over the next week or so. Let's get into the next match. I know this is one, Rob, you are going to be very interested in, and that of course is Jimmy versus Jey. Now, I say very interested in because I know you're a big Uso fan, and you are, I have to say, a day one Uso fan to steal one of their terms. I've always been a big fan of the Usos as well, but you were a big fan of the Usos. And then when they, have gone on this incredible run with Roman, the Bloodline, the things they've done individually, more so Jey, of course, being pushed more as a solo star as well. You would think this could be like, if it weren't for like The Rock and that, this could have headlined night one. But we're just not in that position. It's a story that is like, oh, brother versus brother. It's kind of there, but it just shows that you can't just rely on that. And I think what makes things worse is how they muddied the waters with like who turned, and they completely forgot that who turned when and why they turned. And the story just got so convoluted. And this is the problem with some of the Bloodline stuff. As great as it was, there's been some weird decisions on the way. But that being said, I think it'll be a cool match. And I think they're on this massive stage, man. They're going to want to impress. This is their opportunity. I know Matt versus Jeff at WrestleMania was good. I watched it again recently.
Match, wasn't it?
Kind of like uncomfortable because, it was used all the weapons and that. And it just felt kind of dated already. Like, because, just knowing what we know now about, injuries and kind of whatever. But and things just changing in WWE overall. So, but anyway, it wasn't a terrible match, but it weren't as good as I think people thought it would be. And I got a fear that this is going to be the same. So how do you go with the predictions? Well, for me, I think the biggest star out of the two has been Jey Uso, right? So do we just continue that, or do we counterbalance that by giving Jimmy something? That's what I'm kind of torn between.
I think this is one of those, when I say it's so hard to call, arguably I feel like this is probably going to be one of the hardest matches for me to call. Do
you feel like you're choosing between your children?
No, not as much, but it's
not
like,
as bad as that.
Do I want my Indian or do I want my Chinese? Like, I mean, you can't weigh up the options there.
Two great takeaways. Yeah,
exactly. It's hard, man. Look, crazy though. I do have. Look, I got a lot of love for the way they've been able to do this brother versus brother thing, right? And the fact that Jey was like, I'm going to knock the yeet out of Jimmy's ass, and it's shown a lot of stuff. The one thing I will say though, both of them have been absolutely perfect in the role of good brother, bad brother. Yeah. And the older one being the bad guy, and the younger one being the good guy. And just last night on Raw, one was wearing black and one was wearing white. So good and bad, and the way they've done and portrayed it, it's been incredible.
They
just
made
little details.
And
even like down to music and stuff like that. But I feel like because of my decision later on about a specific match, Jey has to win, but I think he begrudgingly pins Jimmy. Like, the whole thing happens, they go through a whole war between them, and even though he gets the pin, he doesn't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? He does that moment, whereas I don't want to do it. But the idea of just both of them performing as single wrestlers against each other at WrestleMania, it's such a heartwarming. It's going to be such a good moment.
Yeah. See, I've seen a few theories go around about this, where maybe you could have them in between it, just be like, oh, what are we doing this for? We're brothers. And, kind of like the Hell in a Cell thing with Roman originally. And then, you can't really, I feel, have, if one of them goes to the other, like, what the hell are we doing? Like, it needs to be Jimmy turning face, right?
Yeah.
And they can't exactly, then what they're going to do? Face Solo and Roman like they already did. It doesn't make any sense. Or The Rock and Roman potentially. But like we've been there. That's the problem with this storyline. That at Money in the Bank was incredible. The Bloodline Civil War. And they just kind of ruined it, by kind of shaking up the kind of members again.
Yeah.
So like, it's only really going to work if Jimmy turned into a babyface during the match. How could Jey can't turn heel during the match? And it'd be insane if Jey turned heel.
Imagine a double turn. That'd be crazy. But
yeah, so it kind of makes it tough because you don't know where we're going storyline wise. But I mean, I do feel bad for Jimmy because let's face it, Jay's had a better 3-4 years. So I feel like giving Jimmy this would be good and show that they see value in him. But realistically, Jey is hot property at the moment and selling t-shirts. So maybe you just give it to Jey for that reason. So
I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean, so let's say, for example, Jey had the Yeet t-shirt, and because he had Yeet, Jimmy got no Yeet. You wouldn't have got no Yeet without Jey's having the Yeet.
And that's not going to sell as much either, Like Jimmy's in a bit of a tough position in that sense as well.
Man, I think this, as I said, I think I'm struggling more with this one. I'm looking at it either two ways. Jimmy wins, and then he has his brother moment, and they fix their moment, and they're back together again. And then that works.
The problem is the bloodline. There's going to be shenanigans with the bloodline in either of the two matches, and it can't not involve Jimmy, or Jimmy is just that's just too confusing.
Well, I was going to say it's either that or Jimmy gets the win, and then at the end of the whole Mania Night 1, Jey comes out to make the save, turning Jimmy heel as well in a process, and then it works another way. But I feel like if they're going to do that, then that needs to happen at Bloodline Rules, which is the next night. So do you know what I mean? There's so many possibilities.
Kind of got to just take it on its own, don't you, and try not to think about the blood, because it might not affect it too much anyway, but it just feels a bit odd. Acrylic says Jey to win, and again is asking whether or not the bloodline get involved. I hope not. The bloodline will be involved somewhere else, but here it would kind of be too messy. And says a rumor just found making rounds, Brock seen at a main event. I can't see Brock showing up anytime soon, but you never know. There's again, stranger things have happened. But right, let's get into it. Let's nail this down. I'm just gonna go again. The one merchandise seller. I'm gonna go Jey Uso. I think Jey Uso is more likely to win it. Jimmy, it could be Jimmy. Depends on what if they want to send the message to Jimmy and to the fans to say, look, he's just as important as his brother. Look, he just beat his brother, and you like his brother so much, you should respect him, sort of thing. Or because they're going to do some storyline twist with it. But if you're not doing those two things, then surely it's because you're going to give Jey the rocket that he's already had and light it even further. So
yeah. I mean, I really don't know, because I feel like if Jey does get the win, great. Jey gets the win. But I think, does it mean more if Jimmy gets the win? Because then Jey's he takes the pin at Mania. But I just feel like they need that moment of realigning with each other and having that wholesome moment of brother and brother, and they just hug it out, and that's it. I mean,
but I don't think they can because of the other stuff going on with the bloodline.
That's what I mean. I mean, fantasy booking wise, Rikishi's not saying that he's involved, but he's there. He fixes something, or he comes out after, and
it is weird that he's never been involved with the storyline.
I like that though, because
I feel like he should have been at some stage, and this is the perfect time to do it.
Now it is,
if we didn't have the situation with the Rock and Roman Reigns already going on to confuse things even
crazy.
Further, I'm going
I'm gonna go Jey because I feel like Jey's on more of a like the main event, and as you said, he's like the merch and all that sort of stuff. But I'll be honest, if Jimmy wins,
I'll
be
just
as good.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
All right, brilliant. Let's move on to the next one. And we mentioned it earlier on, only recently started to come together this match. And it's basically, as you said, Rob, just because Bayley is kind of off doing something else, she starts kind of stepping back from these damage control segments. And instead, we start to get Bianca and Naomi. And now, of course, Jade Cargill in the mix as well. Now, happy. I like looking at that graphic in this match. I'm like, I like the sound of that. But it feels really rushed. And I feel like I was shocked this time last week that they hadn't done anything with Jade Cargill going into Mania. And then it's like they suddenly went, yeah, actually, maybe we should. And they just like threw this together. But then surely Bianca would have had a role on Mania as well. So this kind of does feel like it probably was a plan, but bit of a confusing one there.
I'm amazed that you're not annoyed about the same thing that I'm annoyed about.
Okay, go on.
That all 6 of them women, fantastic. Like, you put them together and make that as a feud. I'm all for it. But again, and I'm going to keep saying it because damn it, they deserve it. Why are the women's titles not on the line at Mania? What are we doing?
Yeah, but I guess
why are we still not having that?
Yeah, I guess.
Mate, why? They had the perfect people.
Yeah, I guess, but then you can't use Jade Cargill. And
but even if they'd done it, I would have done. You see what Jade done on, was it Raw or SmackDown?
SmackDown.
Was it SmackDown? At Mania. That's when it should have happened.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea actually. We've done it now. But Jonesy says this match feels so filler. It kind of really there's a few on this card. I'll be honest, it does feel like, and Asuka has really hit hard times. We ain't talking Dusty Rhodes, fantastic promo hard times. We're talking, she ain't had a good few months, has she? I mean, she came back at the Rumble. Wait, was that last year or this year? That's how bad
last
it is.
Year.
That's how bad it is.
Last year.
Like, it was like, she's
because
going to be like her old character.
Wait. I can't remember if it was last year or this year.
That is mad.
I think it was last year.
It must have been last year. How bad is that? It just shows that how little of note anything's been. Anyway, Jonesy also says the baby faces is winning. And going back to the match we had earlier with the Usos, Acrylic says Rikishi would appear at some point, but when? Jonesy says, I'm presuming they put Jade in this match to protect her as she is green. Yeah, I mean, she come into the Rumble, she looked fantastic. What did you think of Jade hitting that move and looking like she went for the pin and then styling it out by doing the lick of the hand?
Yeah, but she's done that hand lick thing so many times in AEW.
But do you think?
I feel like she rolled it over because she hooked the leg. It looked like the pin. If she'd have hooked the leg and leant back at the same time,
it looked like it was it weren't one swift move. It was almost broken, which made it seem like she went for the pin and then realized, which everybody can forget where they are and what they're doing. Like, you know what I mean? But it just makes people think, look, she done it. You know, silly. She thought she could pin. Which I mean, is not the case. But
I know this is a dated reference. Maybe some people on here are kind of outraged. They might get it.
Right.
The way Jade came into that ring at the end of SmackDown before, and she done the big boot and the powerbomb and all that stuff, right? Reminded me of, in Blade 2, when Blade falls into the water, then comes back up again, and he's just more badass than he ever was in the other film. He's like he re-rose, and they fed him. It was literally that's how Jade appeared. She just come out and she was like, "It's time."
You heard it here first. Jade Cargill is going to be playing Blade. No more Wesley Snipes. Right. What do you think is going on in this match? It's another one where it kind of depends on the other, like the title match, right? Because can you afford to have everyone in damage control lose? I guess so. Can you afford to have them both win? I guess so as well. If I'm honest, though, with this one, I think it makes the most sense to have the fresh new, although they're thrown together as a team, 3 exciting stars. One's just arrived, one's just returned, and one has been one of your biggest female stars of the past few years in Bianca, Naomi, and Jade. So I think it makes more sense to have them win, even though, I think protecting damage control is a good thing. But they've done quite well of them recently. They've had a rocky road, but I would say they've been presented quite well lately. It's slowly picking back up. But yeah, they probably should lose in this match. And it's not for the title, so it kind of doesn't matter. They are still somewhat protected. They're still got the gold around their waist as well. So I'm going to go for the baby faces. Quickly going to get to some of these comments before yours, mate. So let's remember Jey turned down $2 million to stay at AEW and signed for WWE for $750,000 deduction. Is that what the reported numbers are? If so, wow. I mean, WWE it's the place to be at the moment. Let's be honest. I'm not hearing one of those people that trying to diss companies. We always try and be fair and open, don't we, Rob? We like wrestling overall. We're not fanboys of just one company, but you have to be honest at the same time. WWE is where it's at the moment. It wasn't the case a little while ago. It was all AEW for me. They were definitely on top, but it's ain't been like that for a while. Let's hope it heats back up. But anyway, Dakota is getting pinned, says Jonesy. Has that influenced you in any way, mate? Do you think it's the bad guys losing here, and will it be Dakota being the reason behind it?
Look, I think the baby faces are getting a win, and I think all three of them will pin the heels in the middle of the ring, and that's how they're
that's a great image.
We'll have that moment kind of thing. I think that's probably the best way, because it doesn't outshine anyone else. Yes, okay, Jade comes in. It's crazy how Jade comes in and everyone's all up in arms about, she looks really good and she's going to be the next star. And then in the next breath, like, yeah, but she's really green. Like, you can't be both. You can't be a star and be green at the same time. Like, it's either one or the other. And I think in order to kind of look past that, she'll do a mix of work in the ring. I reckon maybe she'll get handsy with everyone that's going on, like this in the match. But I think ultimately all three of them pinning and then winning at the same time.
That's a great visual. Makes them all look strong.
Exactly.
So, and as mentioned earlier on, eventually could lead to a potential turn from Jade, even if it's not at the end of the match, because that's different from what you said. That could happen. A backlash or something like that. Right, let's move on to the next one. We've got the Intercontinental title on the line. Gunther defending against Sami Zayn. Now, I'll be honest, man, I find this one quite tough. And the main reason I do is because I wish the match wasn't happening. So, like... Wait,
is that a good or a bad thing?
It's a bad... I don't... Right, okay. First of all, it shouldn't be Sami Zayn. It should be Chad Gable, right?
Gable, yeah.
Now, I know they're playing into that. And on Raw, we saw Gunther attack Gable. And Sami has been buddying up with him, even though Gable's been like, look, it was my shot and whatever else. So there's a potential here for a Gable heel turn, which I think is a terrible idea.
I mean, the last time was bad.
He's super over as a good guy. Right, that's why this story was exciting, because they want him to finally do it. Now, I get the temptation of him. He has the storyline going, that should have been me, that type of thing, whatever. But then where do we go after that? It doesn't take you anywhere. Where they need to go is pull the trigger with him, and he should be beating Gunther for the title. Yeah, those matches a few months ago that everybody's ranting and raving about.
So good.
He should be winning the title. Now, Sami Zayn should be in a prominent spot on Mania as well, which should have been beating Seth Rollins or someone at least for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that's not happening because so much else has gone on there as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy Drew's in that position as well. But for me, Sami Zayn winning a world title is something that needed to be done. The opportunity to do that is the World Heavyweight Championship, not WWE one at this time.
Yeah.
So that makes up for him not winning at the Chamber last year. That brings back some of that excitement that we had about Sami Zayn last year. But instead, he might win the IC, which he's done before. Why do I care about that? The person to beat Gunther should not be Sami Zayn. That's ridiculous. It should be Gable. So I'm going to say, because I really don't want it to happen, I'm going to say Sami's not going to win and Gunther's going to retain. But also because I don't want to spoil my other predictions, but taking the IC off of Gunther at this time might not mean as much if something else quite big happens on this weekend as well. Yeah. So I'm saying, as much as Mania is the place to do it usually, and Sami Zayn is a great babyface, it's a no from me.
Yeah. As a Dragon's Den will say, you're out.
What do you reckon? Do you agree with me?
Weirdly, no. I don't.
Let me quickly say though, I do think it'd be a great match. So we'll have that.
100%.
But go on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I really don't. Annoyingly,
you don't disagree or do what?
I agree with you.
Oh, you do agree.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Okay, all right. Now I got you.
Man, it should have been Gable. I love Sammy. As Sami Zayn, NXT Sami Zayn, which I feel like would be good. I feel they should have had this moment where we get a rebirth of Sami Zayn and his NXT Sammy, the underdog on the underground, and this whole. That would have been great. I feel what annoys me is because it's Philly, we're getting this whole Rocky kind of montage.
Yeah.
Like they're playing into it fine.
But that should have been Gable, not Sammy. Or it should have been Sammy in the world title picture. Like, so annoying, man. Like, how do they have both these things and ruin them?
And also, on top of that, what are Alpha Academy doing?
Yeah.
Because the lead of Alpha Academy essentially was Gable with Otis.
And Otis was having an eating competition today, and Big E is
against Omos.
Against Omos, eating Philly cheesesteaks and pizzas, which sounds like a great day out. Don't get me wrong, but yeah,
but do you know what I mean? Like that's how far down the card some of Alpha Academy are.
Yeah,
that they're having an eating contest. I mean, that frustrates me.
But then they're the kind of scenes they would be in before. To be fair, comedy skits and stuff like that.
But you can't to be taken as a legit tag team and how good they are at Alpha Academy.
They've lost the shine of them, but they are too, again, because we don't know where it's going to go. They are using Gable was part of this story. So why do you think that is?
I reckon it comes down. I think it comes down to the end, and I think Gable's at ringside, and this is what I think is going to happen. Let's say Gunther does it. He hits his finisher, and before he can hit his finisher, Sammy picks up the towel and waves the towel. Says he's given up, throws in the towel.
Oh, Gable, you mean? For Sammy?
No, Sammy. Sammy throws in his own towel.
Right? Oh, okay.
And in that way, or there's a tug of war, something like that. Sammy goes to take the towel, goes to throw it in. Gable's trying to prevent him. Something happens.
Yeah, okay.
Sammy gets hit. That's how he loses.
Takes advantage.
Gable that way doesn't turn heel, and he's still trying to protect Sammy.
Okay.
And then that way, because turning Gable heel after this whole build is ridiculous.
But it's like they're rubbing it in our face. They're going, hey, just like they did with Cody Rhodes, which it seems like they did turn back on. They're literally going, it's the age-old thing, Daniel Bryan and whatever else. They're literally going, this is what you want, ain't it? Like, that's weird for them to acknowledge that. And everybody knows it should have been Gable.
Yeah.
As much as I love Sami Zayn, he should have been in a different position. But then again, at the same time, the Drew situation I'm liking as well. So it's a tough one. And it's the same thing that Sammy had to struggle with this time last year around Mania, taking the second best spot when arguably could have been in Cody Rhodes' shoes.
No, but didn't they main evented last year's Mania with the tag titles?
Which was a great moment, don't get me wrong, but he could have been world champion.
Yeah.
That was a real possibility as far as the way fans felt about him at the time. A critic says Sammy is gonna get the win. And I think it's this Senior Wilson 3S2K1, if I'm saying your name the right way. It says Priest cashes in, LOL. You never know. Again, Priest seems to forget he's carrying around a briefcase every now and then. So
he must be the stupidest Money in the Bank holder. I think
it's going to all come out. I'm sure it's smart.
There is, I mean, if we're going by Triple H booking when things are going to happen, let's go all the way back to when we had that double pin thing in NXT.
The classic. Still don't know what that was all about.
And I don't think we ever will.
No, there we go. All right, let's get down to it then.
Yeah, I think Gunther retains for two reasons. One, because if what's about to happen with, let's say, Cody finishing the story, and let's say Drew does win the title, if there's a cash in for Priest, I don't know. But now isn't the time to have Drew drop a title to then play second fiddle to and get lost in something that's already clustered and busy, because that's what's going to happen. So I think right now
to drop the title.
I don't want Gunther getting lost in all that.
Yeah.
So I think Gunther retains, and I feel like Sammy's going to be the one to try and throw in his own towel. Something's going to happen like that, and Gable will prevent him. But because he prevents him, that causes Sammy to take the loss. I think
You got some good theories on the show, Rob.
I feel like if Gable was to throw the towel in, it seems like he didn't trust him, and all this time is like you were scared, and this whole build and things like they can't have that kind of build, and then the next minute Gable becomes heel. Like it literally just doesn't make sense.
So hard to tell, isn't it?
So I think that's how it's going to play. So Gunther's Sammy's eating a loss, Gunther's retaining, but I feel like that sort of shenanigan's going to be how, so that way it protects Sammy, Gable, and Gunther still looks strong.
Speaking of Gunther looking strong, he's looking fashionable as well. We had a great chat with him and Ludwig Kaiser about fashion, their future goals, the IC title, and their time on the main roster as well. Go on,
I think that when we get to interview these again, if that's a possibility, I think you need to wear a roll neck. Just like
should I? All right,
I think it needs to be done. That maybe like a little Imperium chain or something. A little.
If you haven't already, check out our interview with Imperium and other members of the WWE roster on this very channel as well. If you haven't as well, please subscribe. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel here for our red carpet preview. I've even got a red tie on for the occasion. Rob, Luchador in his beautiful shirt as well. Here we are celebrating that we are on the, not just the roads, guys, but the red carpet to WrestleMania. We are nearly there. It's in touching distance. Can you feel it? Do you remember The Rock used to do like, put your arm out in front of the TV?
Now he's got his mana, isn't he? He's got his mana.
Yeah, true. But anyway, thanks for joining us on this. We are going to keep going. We're going to get tonight too.
I thought that was it.
No, we're still good. We're still good. But tomorrow, as Rob mentioned earlier on, other members of the channel, Dan and Lucas, will be back with their predictions show as well, doing another preview special for you on this very channel. And then we'll be hitting you with the build-up show on the night of WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. If you don't know what that is, basically every time there's a PLE, we go live just before it to get yourself and ourselves in the mood for it as well. We talk about the latest stories and the breaking news, the rumors going around social media and things like that. Talking about the WrestleMania stage and, all the kind of theories bubbling up under the surface as well.
Yeah, so there is something very iconic about especially the WrestleMania, like before build-up party or whatever you want to call it. So one, it was the birth of Ronnie Storm. The legend
Storm. Yeah, I don't know where he is. I've got to find him.
He's away, man. He's busy.
He's training. Yeah. He's in Philadelphia running up the steps.
Exactly.
I don't know how he's got no legs, but
man, he's a barrel of laughs. It's fine.
That is a barrel of laughs. Great.
So that's the first thing.
Ronnie Storm. If you're new to the channel, guys, Ronnie Storm is a little pop-up pirate who we used on the stream before to help us make predictions. But go on.
Great, man. It was good content.
It was great. I loved it.
And the other thing as well was there was, if you guys remember the Mania, I think, which one was it when Samoa Joe was in his little poncho?
I think it's the same year. It was. That's why we had Ronnie Storm, because it was a pirate theme.
Yeah. So what was that? It was 2 years ago?
7. Yeah.
37? Yeah. So, and that was the wildest night because
it was, because
every time we were checking the news again for something, there was an update, and then all of a sudden it flipped to Samoa Joe, and he's standing there with a little microphone. It's
now
the wildest build
AEW World Champion. Things have changed.
Crazy. So
but yeah,
always doing that.
As you say, these kind of random things do pop up on the night, so they're really exciting streams to do. So we'd love it if you join us, guys. Please subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, we're not wrapping up yet. We want to know what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania and what you want to see. What match are you most looking forward to? Let us know as we go through these matches. If we've already done a match that you want to talk about, guys, still hit us in the comments. We'll try and get to those as well. If you've just joined us late, you can always go back to the start of the stream or continue watching with us and watch it on demand at the very end as well. So let's get into the main event of night one, Rob. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting, right? Because, again, we'll hold off on our predictions for the main event of night 2, but obviously this is going to play into it a little bit, right?
See, I already have... People are saying that this is one of the hardest things to call in a night. And I'm like, no, I feel like I already know my outcome.
All right, Mr. Confident. Why don't you go first?
I shall. I think Roman, I think The Rock pins Cody night one to make it a Bloodline Rules match. And there's a reason behind that. I won't go in too far in too deep yet. Obviously, we'll talk about that for night 2. But there's a reason why. One, basically the heels have to get it to turn it into a Bloodline match, which we know is going to happen. I feel like that is inevitable.
Do we?
I feel like we do. Right?
Okay.
I feel like it's inevitable that's going to be the case. Yeah. And because of that, I feel like The Rock takes the shine and he takes the pin. Like, he pins whoever. But I feel like it'd be really good for him to pin Cody because of the whole Mama Rhodes and all this sort of stuff.
But don't you think Rock needs to get his comeuppance? If he's not, let's talk, save it for night 2 talk, turn in or whatever else, or, some crazy shenanigans in that. But even just on this stage at that time, don't you think The Rock kind of can't look too strong? Because Cody will look crap going into night 2, and now we're supposed to believe he's going to win. But I know WWE sometimes they make it look even more like the underdog, and oh my gosh, last night he was screwed and all that stuff. But
all right, look, I feel like if we're predicting night 1 main event, I feel like we have to predict night 2's main event as well, because I think like it goes back to back because of the repercussions of night 1. It has to it affects night 2. That's why. All right. So how do you want to do it?
Should we hold off on both these matches until the end then? Let's carry on with night 2, because I think you're right. Night 1's finale has too much link to night 2. Cody says Acrylic Galaxy or something to that effect, at least. Thinks
I think he's a fan of Cody.
A few more Codys coming in now as well. Appreciate your comments still, Acrylic. Let's move into night 2, guys. Stick with us. We are going to get into it. I don't mean to be a little bit of a tease for you there, but as Rob said, it is difficult to kind of not talk about one without the other. So we've got some other great matches to talk about. Now, this one, to be fair, kind of is affected by it as well. But let's talk what we assume is going to be on night 2 with Seth Freakin Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. Now, this, I was dead set on what should happen and what I thought would happen until today.
Yeah, me too.
And the reason for that is because we've just had Clash at the Castle announced as Glasgow on June the 15th. Now, again, as we said earlier on, we're going to try our best to be there and cover it, just like we did the last Clash at the Castle and just like we did for Money in the Bank here in London as well. So please, once again, subscribe, check out our interviews from the past, and be ready for our content coming up in the future as well. But, so I'm going to put my cards on the table here and just say, look, the whole time, well, I look like Austin there, don't I, doing the Austin meme in the podcast. I'm going to put my cards on the table and say, up until today, I thought Seth should and would be losing. And I felt like Seth should have lost his title ages ago. I kept saying I wanted Nakamura to win it. I want, everything. I wanted Drew to win it before. So I thought, I know he's a heel now, but still that whole thing in front of live fans, WrestleMania, he's used that as part of his character. He's been on fire since he turned heel. The CM Punk thing has been incredible for him. It's been a blessing in disguise for WWE in that sense, at least. Punk's going to be on commentary. We've got to remember that as well. So how will that play a part here? But I thought Drew's going to get it because Seth's time with the title is up now, like as it felt like it should have been for a while. They kept playing up this whole injury angle. Drew's brought that back into focus with his funeral home promo on Raw.
It was great promo.
It was fantastic. Yeah. Did you see it was used in TNA in the Aces and Eights segment a few years ago as well? It's the same funeral home. But,
is it?
Yeah, it's so weird. Anyway, So I kept thinking, look, Drew's got to win, and a heel win in the world title is probably good. Take it off of Seth and then go somewhere else with it. Drew can kind of go on this kind of mega run with it and kind of, be in front of fans, even though he's not babyface anymore. But when he announced the show, I was like, So first I thought, that's it. Yeah, like he's going into Glasgow with the title. And then I thought, it's kind of cool if he wins it in Glasgow though, right? Because no matter what happens, he's going to get a babyface reaction in Glasgow, right? It's kind of unfortunate it comes when he's a super mega heel, but
I feel like I disagree.
do you just give him the title in Glasgow, or I don't know?
Do you want me to go first? Because I feel like I know you were saying about the prediction. I feel like I had a plan in my head of what was going to happen. I guess it's a little sidestep, but it will still work.
Okay.
So this is how I look at it. Drew's winning at Mania, right?
Okay.
But Priest is cashing in because, and I say this is why. I feel like they haven't really known what to do with Priest for a long time. And he's been kind of, for him holding the Money in the Bank, again, another blessing in disguise, because now they have a reason to pivot and still fulfill a story. I think this whole thing is going to be about Drew winning it in front of fans, which is what he wants, getting his Mania moment. Out comes Judgment Day or whoever.
Yeah,
he's stolen from him.
But by another heel, though, that's the problem.
No, because he's going to make him a babyface. Because as you said, going into Glasgow, like into Scotland, his hometown, no matter what
he was kind of a neutral, weren't he, for a bit when he first turned heel? He weren't fully there.
Yeah.
But it kind of undoes all the hard work they've done to make him a super heel. Unless it's a temporary thing, like
super face.
He's a face for like 2 months and then he turns heel again because eventually Punk comes back and they face each other.
I think by this point, imagine, this is what I feel like would happen, right? I don't know how physical Punk could get, but let's say Drew does win. He gets in Punk's face. They're having their moment. They're having their moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. As I said, I don't know what Punk can do, but imagine if he slyly does something, out comes Damian Priest.
Yeah, see, I feel like that's possible, but then Drew stays as a heel because of that, and the only thing he can move into is going back into the title picture against a heel or Punk, who doesn't seem like he's going to be ready.
I feel like with them doing it that way, I think it flips Drew to a tweener. He's not a heel and he's not a face.
I reckon, but it's still 2 months though. Although Clash feels very close because the announcement's just bloody happened.
But it's 2 months. I mean, and we're near. I mean,
we're like do that for a month because you can't. I don't know. It's really tough.
I just think if he wins,
a lot.
If Drew was to win it night 2 of Mania, have it for a month, lose it because by getting cashed in on or whatever, like that moment is then like, oh well, if he wins it in Scotland, he wins it. But if this whole thing about him being held back, he can't do it, and stuff like that, it's 2 months of it. It's going to push him as a big babyface the way they have with Cody.
But he's going to be moaning though. You can't. A babyface don't moan like that. A babyface gets on with it. Like Cody's not really moaned about.
Yeah, but the fire in his belly would flip from moaning to like, I'm proving my point.
I know in Glasgow he's going to get the babyface reaction anyway, but
that's the thing. I mean, you can either send him into Scotland as a face or you can send him as a heel, right? No matter what you do, he's going to get the whole crowd behind him and they're going to boo the hell out of that stadium. He's going to get Roman Reigns Philadelphia treatment if he does not win that night.
You know what? I actually think the better thing to do then is to make him win at Mania, go into Glasgow. It's so tempting to capitalize on the win in Glasgow, but if he's going to be a heel, like long term, I think he needs to be a heel. It's weird timing. He should have done this in Cardiff, or that should have been in Glasgow, and he should have been whatever. But it kind of probably is the best thing to go into Glasgow as a heel and
leave as a face.
Because the thing is, if he wins it in Glasgow, that's confusing for TV. Like, because, they can say, oh, like they used to when I came here into Canada, that was Bizarro land and we had our own chance. We everything flipped over on the night and whatever. They can try and skirt around it as much as they can there. But it don't make sense when you've really put him across as this mega heel, but everybody seems so happy about it. So I think he can't win in Glasgow if he's going to be a heel long term. He probably can't win in Glasgow, and therefore he should go into it as champ. And at least he still gets the Mania moment and goes into Glasgow with the title.
I mean, the thing is, he's only really ramped up the heel stuff only the last few months since Rumble. Because I mean, think about it. He was in.
But it's been great as well, much like the Gable thing. Why do you want to ruin that?
Because he's going to get a better reception in Scotland.
Yeah.
As you said, because it won't make sense with. It's weird. UK fans, they've when it comes to them chanting, I would say they're much like Philadelphia fans at the ECW arena. Like they will tell you how they feel and they will make it known and loud. Like they really will. Same as how they did it in Puerto Rico. So it's a fine line, man. And I feel Drew going into Scotland as a heel, you're not going to boo him. You're not going to boo him. Anyone
yeah,
that
but that's
boos
okay
him,
if he's already got the title. But winning the title is kind of like too confusing.
Yeah, but that's
the story they're telling. If they don't turn him, you're saying turn him face. But yeah, I don't think
I would say, look, have him win the title heel at Mania.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, a month isn't, I don't feel like a month is enough time for him to go, oh, I'm going to do it. Like, because he has to plant and make a reason. Because what's the next PLE after this?
Backlash.
So we're going to get Backlash, which is fine. But then I feel like Seth's going to still be involved. You get Seth out of it. And then it's just Drew and whoever.
Yeah.
Because whoever's going to be in
Damien, because Damien's a heel at the moment, at least.
Oh, that's why I'm saying Damien has to cash in. I think if Drew wins, Damien cashes in. And then it makes Drew ramp himself up even more. Because if he has the right then to complain, he will complain because I wish he had out of my moment. My moment now.
Yeah, I can see that, but that doesn't that's not what babyface does. That's the problem. And it's so confusing. Right. Anyway, let's just commit, right? I think you know what, I'm gonna have to go with my original prediction and say I think Drew's gonna win the title, and I want him to as well. So
I want him to.
Yeah, really if he don't, he has to win in Glasgow. But
I would be fuming if, like, I mean, put it this way: he carried the company on his back during the pandemic era.
Yeah,
right. So good.
Yeah.
Then fans turned on him because there's only so much he could do in that pandemic era.
Yeah, got stale. Then, you know, it's all kind of big championship reigns.
Yeah, like it was. They relied on him same way they relied on Big E, kind of in that era, you know, and as well as they relied on Bayley, Sasha, Asuka. There's a lot of them. I feel like the pandemic era were
superstars of that era.
Yeah, they really were. And Drew didn't get his moment at Clash. He didn't get his moment at Mania because it wasn't in front of fans and he wanted to be with the fans.
Yeah, but it's different now when you're a heel. And I like that they've used that as part of his story, but it means it's not the same thing. That it's never going to be what it was. The only other chance they had to do that was in Cardiff and they didn't do it. So unless they do flip the script and they do make him a face going into Glasgow, which again, they've done weirder things before, you know. I was watching a clip of Edge being interviewed about Judgment Day the other day. And he said that the whole thing when Balor turned was meant to happen a year later. It happened the next night when Balor joined and they kicked him out of the Judgment Day. It was basically because the injuries that happened with Cody and people like that they were like, we need a babyface. So like crazy to think, and that could be the case here. They've been like, you know what, we're doing it, Glasgow. We got to flip it up again. But either way, I'm going to say Drew McIntyre is going to win. Are you still going the same way? And if so, you're going to then bonus point the cash in?
I am, yeah. So I'm going Drew wins. I feel like he gets his moment. I don't know what's going to happen as an altercation, but I feel like Priest cashes in. So I'm going to bonus point a cash in. I don't know if he's going to be successful, but I'm going to bonus point a cash in is going to happen on Drew.
Okay, so cash in on Drew. Okay, that makes sense. All right, before we get into the next match, I'm just going to go to some of the comments here again from, I think, Senior Wilson. I'm going to give you that name if that's not your name. Sorry. They will not put the AEW founder over Roman. I promise you, Roman's going over on night 2 and retain because Triple H is that patty over the chair smash with that hammer. It's possible. I think that would be crazy, and I don't think that's the case. They're in love with Roman. They'll do this. I promise you. I hope you're wrong, mate. I do. But I do see where you come.
I see the point.
But I don't think that's the case. But okay. Let's move on to the next one. Thanks for your comment, though, mate. Keep them coming. Really enjoying the interaction from you guys tonight. Again, whether it's live on demand, thank you so much for watching and tuning in and dropping your comments here. Let's get into the match I least care about. I'll be honest with you. Authors of Pain and Karrion Kross versus the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. Look, I'm glad they've got something to do, but you know what? Part of this is on me. I haven't been watching lately. Maybe it's better than I thought, but the last stuff I saw, Street Profits and Bobby Lashley, didn't grip me. they don't know what they want to do with those guys, whether or not they were heels or babyface. They must be babyface now if they're going against AOP and Cross. I always want more for Cross. I do see the potential in him, so I'm glad he's got a little stable going on. I like AOP. I'm glad they're back, but and I hope I'm entertained. But there is not much in this that makes me go, oh, I can't wait to see that. But saying that, is this the one that's a street fight?
Yes, the Philadelphia street fight. Yeah,
Philadelphia street fight. Yeah, all right. I'm looking forward to that. Storyline wise, couldn't give a crap. But the match, I think, can be entertaining.
I'm annoyed at this, man. Like, not the match, not the guys in the match. Nothing like
I thought that was harsh, mate. Come on.
No. And I'll tell you why. Like, all this time that we've been talking about, go back, listen to our podcast. Bobby Lashley and Cross are good. They are so damn talented. And both guys have been dealt these atrocious hands every single time. You think you've got gold with them, they rip it away from them. Now you put them both in factions, fine. The Pride, good name, fine. The Final Testament is perfect. It sets him and AOP with Ella in as well. And Scarlett.
Apart from the fact I had no idea who it was when I read the card.
But you've not been tuning in.
I haven't been watching that.
That's fair enough. That's your own ignorance, all right?
I've been busy, man.
Right, but I just feel like we're finally now on a path of the Final Testament, and it's a build for both teams. And instead of going, oh, do you know what will make it easier? We'll do this. They didn't. What they did, they put them against each other, and now one team has to go over victorious, and the other team eats a loss.
Yeah.
Again,
it could be damaging for either side. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So I'm just sick of it. And I don't really know. I don't know what to do. I mean, as you said, I'm excited, but neither team really benefits from it, because whoever puts the other one over, what do? They should have gone after one individual person.
I think the team that need it more are not the Street Profits and Bobby, but AOP and Karrion Kross, because they've just. I mean, Cross really hasn't had, like, at least Bobby Lashley's been a world champ, and at least the Street Profits were some of the most exciting guys on the roster up until about a year ago. Whereas AOP have just come back after a weird run on the main roster doing nothing. Karrion Kross, another rehire who had a weird run on the main roster as well. So I think they are more damaged goods, even though Street Profits have been booked badly lately, I think, and they should be in a better position, and they've gone backwards. And even though Bobby Lashley is massively underutilized, as we said for ages on this channel, as you say, star in the pandemic era, completely wasted potential when they got rid of the Hurt Business and the failed reunions they were kind of flirting with as well. But like, at least they've had those things in the past. Those other guys, man, they've done nothing. So like, they need this a little bit more, in my opinion. So What do you think?
Man, I'm just frustrated. Like, AOP had a fantastic run. It's crazy. Both teams come through NXT. Looked absolutely incredible in NXT. Got to the main roster and done what?
I mean, Street Profits did a lot on the main roster, but not AOP.
I know, but when you think about how far, I don't want to say they've fallen, because I feel like they are on a little rise. But we see them live recently at the last WWE live show in at Wembley, right? The SS Arena, and they were heels. Yet Bobby Lashley was out there and he was pumping his fist, and the fans were getting it.
It's so confusing. Like,
confusing
presentation.
And then AOP, since they've come up, they've been Authors of Pain, and then they had Rockstar Spud with them. I can't even remember what his name was when he was with them.
Drake
Maverick.
Yeah.
Right. So they've had Drake Maverick and with him as AOP. Then he went. Then they disappeared for a bit. Come back as disciples of Seth Rollins. Then went again, and then they come back and they're more disciples again. Like,
so I think they need it more. But whether or not WWE care, I mean, they clearly haven't enough in the past. Is another thing. So I kind of feel like this is the opportunity to give it to the baby faces, that they'll kind of just
but I think But I don't know, man. I always feel like if you're in a faction and their faces win overall, the baby faces can bounce back. Heels can't. I think, especially with the way they've set it up as well. I mean, you don't bring back Paul Ellering and AOP and all this stuff just for them to have like a match at Mania and lose.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the heels winning then.
I feel like
it should be them. As much as I like the other guys, and I also feel bad for how poorly they've been used and confusing they've been presented. This could start to straighten things up, but I also think they've had the better of the kind of careers so far, so they don't need it as much.
So I agree.
So you're going heels to win as well?
I feel it only makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's go on to another kind of confusing thrown together match, in my opinion. LA Knight versus AJ Styles. And this is another example. As much as this card I'm excited for, and even the matches I'm excited for, and some of them make sense on paper, they don't really make sense. Like, I don't know, 3 months ago, if you looked at this and I said to you, LA Knight versus AJ Styles, you'd be saying, why? Like, I remember saying to you on this pod about maybe 7 or 8 months ago that I thought LA Knight shouldn't be in the Rumble match because there'll be too much focus on that being a natural progression. He should be going, in a different direction to distract from that because they clearly had a vision for someone else, right? But at the same time, there was a clear path for him as well. And that should have been to go after Logan Paul and winning the US title. That should have been what we were seeing here. But instead, we've got him going against AJ Styles, who looks in fantastic shape, by the way, I got to say. He's a great performer, one of my favorites of the modern era. But, like, come on, like, this is not the match we wanted. And I do think they've done a good job at, like, building it lately. It is very Attitude Era-esque with LA Knight. And I know there's always those comparisons of The Rock and of Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that. And I think now that The Rock's back and Triple H is in charge and all this kind of stuff, we are seeing some Attitude Era stuff, which is why I think we've got kind of like gang wars like you had back in 1997 with the stables as well. I like the home invasion stuff. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was funny. LA Knight dressing up as the security guard as well. What they've done has been good. Don't get me wrong. But like, this is not the position I wanted LA Knight in. As much as I love AJ, I do feel like he's been underutilized past few years. I get why in some ways you go, what, he's facing a big star. Let's hope him get to that next level. Like, he was near this point last year. You didn't even put him on WrestleMania. And then he exploded in time for Money in the Bank. You didn't give that to him either, which looks like a big mistake now. Then you kept him away from the Rumble because it looked like you might have something else for him. I understand not giving him the world title, like not beating Roman Reigns was the right thing, but it kind of confused, like he just looks like a bit of a failure now. If he's never going to win anything, he should have just won the US title at WrestleMania against Logan Paul. We're going to be getting into that match in a minute, but he should be in that match and he should be winning it. They had a perfect storyline set up from nearly a year ago in London when they had the fantastic segment on SmackDown. So it's just infuriating.
Again, I agree. This is one of those where it feels like, neither guy's got nothing to do at Mania. Everything else is kind of
does it? Like, it's a match that does. Who do you care who wins? Because I don't. Like, other than I think LA Knight is a better person to win for the reasons I just said, like, him kind of continuing to look good and whatever else. But like, it's not like I'm going, yes, he beat AJ Styles. Whereas I would have been going, yes, he got a title and that's a great moment. Logan Paul laying on his back and LA Knight looking great on TMZ. Like, it's not the same.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's so frustrating. Like, I guess if anyone that comes out of this that does need the win, it'll be LA Knight, because I guess AJ kind of has the OC thing to fall back into, or the club, whatever you want to damn call them now. I mean, put it this way, they've struggled that much with trying to figure out things to do that the club are now on NXT in a tournament for NXT Tag Team Champions, like Tampa titles.
Right.
And I'm not against seeing them there, but originally those guys skipped NXT And was because they aligned with AJ Styles. Now
Yeah.
AJ Styles is off doing his thing, and they've fallen to NXT.
Yeah, it's just so
Like,
weird.
make that make sense.
Yeah.
Like it absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know, man. I feel like if anyone needs to win out of this, LA Knight. But I feel LA is better on the mic actually than a lot of guys in that roster right now.
Yeah.
So he could eat a loss, but talk his way out of it, and then you'll be back on his side within 5 minutes.
I guess so, but it does feel a very stop-start push. It feels like they're thinking, "Oh, like we got a good, like solid babyface background superstar," and it's like, yeah, but he could be. Well, he could be more than that, and they're missing the opportunity. A critic thinks LA Knight's going to win. Drops a little yeah for us as well.
This is what happens, right? And again, I guess this goes down to the long-term booking and stuff. Should LA Knight be Gunther right now? No. Would it be great? Yes. Should he beat Logan Paul? 100%.
Yeah.
Right? Is he going to? No. Should he have beaten Roman? No. But he was put in a position and made look like a megastar, just walking out, ignoring him. Why didn't they turn Seth heel and have Seth go against LA Knight?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? They've all this time they've had one title. Now they've got multiple titles to use, and not once has he been
in a non-title match. Yeah, it is ridiculous.
Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. As you said, at one point he wasn't even on Mania. You know what I mean? I put it this way: LA Knight and Bobby Lashley, neither of them were at Mania last year.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley won a title, won the trophy.
Yeah,
Andre at the Battle Royal. He come out, stood with it, and buggered off again. That was his entire WrestleMania thing.
On SmackDown again this year, which is
exactly.
Anyway,
exactly that.
Yeah.
So I'm going. See, I don't know if you've heard, but they've said AJ's getting new music because AJ doesn't feel like the music that he has then suits his persona now.
But then again, I just saw he's got a new T-shirt that says some of the lyrics to the song.
I don't know, man.
I'm sure it does.
I don't know. But I mean, that's what I've read.
Yeah.
But I feel they could go. You remember when AJ went like proper dark in TNA and
and then New Japan and
so I feel like he's going to go down that road, and then that's when the Bullet Club are going to come back with him, or the club, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
So I feel like his long-term booking, and in order for that to happen, unfortunately, someone's got to take a pin, and I feel LA Knight could bounce back, but AJ can't.
I mean, AJ's been, kind of thrown down the card anyway.
But the thing is, it's because he's got a limited dated contract now.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is the kind of match LA Knight should have been in last year, not this year. He should be like, I get AJ in a position like this to help someone like LA Knight get to the next level, but like he was facing Roman a few months ago for the title. He doesn't need to face AJ Styles in a non-title match. It's like, and you could say, well, the US is a step down, but like, if he also have a ready-made feud there with Logan Paul, and it's a title, and anyway, let's wrap this one up. I think the most logical thing is just to have the babyface win. So I'm going to go LA Knight as well. What are you going?
I'm going the opposite. I think it makes more sense for AJ to win because LA Knight can bounce back from that as with promos and stuff like that. So I think because LA Knight can get himself. I mean, he could sell snow to he could sell sand to people living on a desert for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So I'm going AJ to win.
All right. Well, critics giving us a message here about Paul Heyman being inducted to the Hall of Fame, and that Roman Reigns is going to be part of that. I heard a little rumor about. I don't know if that's official. I did hear that mentioned earlier today.
It was said on SmackDown.
Oh, it was said on SmackDown. Okay. All right.
It was said on SmackDown. Yeah. Sorry, it was said on Raw. Because Roman went to Roman, are you going off to write your speech for Heyman?
Oh, okay. Acrylic says, why is it Roman should be someone else? The thing is, again, very awkward at the moment with the Brock situation. ECW link, I really hope they don't go too storyline focused. It was one thing, Evan Ray and Dom. I don't. It's always funny when a bit of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge moment when you boo the heel at the Hall of Fame, but at the same time, it needs to be genuine. I don't want to see Heyman in character. I want ECW Paul Heyman, basically, which is a character in itself. Don't get me wrong, but
I think it should have been. See, again, it falls into certain people aligned with other companies and stuff like that now. I think it was going to be anyone. Bubba Ray would have been a perfect candidate to induct him. Tommy Dreamer, Taz. You know, literally, it was only the other day that I watched I think it's on the network. I think is it the Rise and Fall of ECW or something like that?
Yeah, fantastic.
That documentary. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it should have been an ECW original that inducted him, because I think that's only right.
Well, that
you know,
DVD,
I mean, even at Steve Austin.
Even what? Sorry, Steve Austin.
Even Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, there's loads of cans. Yeah, but I think Roman makes sense. You know, the link with the family, the bloodline thing has been fantastic. It just feels weird because it's a current storyline. This is what I mean. I was going to say that DVD led to a resurgence in popularity for ECW, and they did give us a lovely nostalgia-based pay-per-view at the time of ECW One Night Stand, and we've got a watch-along for that very show on this channel as well. We don't just do predictions and previews. We don't just do recaps and reviews. We don't just do interviews with WWE superstars. We also do classic watch-along of pay-per-views at the time, as they were known. Let's move on to the next match. We're starting to get towards the end now, guys. We got the US title match, the match that Logan Paul should have been defending against LA Knight in, but instead we're getting Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in a triple threat. Now, this graphic, like, these are weirdly, photoshopped and airbrushed, like, but this looks like a computer game graphic. They look weird. Like, look at their faces. They overdone it in these graphics.
Logan Paul looks like an anime character there.
It does, yeah. Roman's
like
Randy's face looks
out and catch Pikachu.
like it's been added on. Kevin Owens looks like he is a model from a video game. Like, that's it. Anyway. They've overdone it. Will they overdo it with this match? I don't know. They're three really fun wrestlers when they're with the right people. Because Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul, we thought the Rumble was going to steal the show. And let me tell you, it didn't. Right? Like, it was okay. Yeah. But, like, we've been spoiled so far with Logan Paul's matches. We had a bit of story progression there, and then it's some fantastic stuff that involved Randy Orton that brought him into this feud at the Elimination Chamber as well. So I've liked the story side of this, and I do think there is potential for a great match, but I'm still a little bit burnt by what we saw at the Royal Rumble not really paying off. And maybe it's because they had something bigger to do here at WrestleMania. What are your thoughts on that, first of all, as far as, your excitement levels for this match?
So I'm not as excited about this. There's a few matches on this card that I'm not excited about. I think this is one of them. As you said, I think it should have been LA Knight, LA Knight, Logan Paul. I mean, to be honest, I would have put the tag title. When's the tag title match? Is that night 1 or night 2?
Night 1, yeah. Apparently, from what we
know. So I would have even considered making this and putting 4 other guys in, or even just 4 guys, and then having that go for the United States Championship as a title, a ladder match, just a ladder match.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it before. They've done it with the IC and Zack Ryder won it, and that was a great moment. They would have had the right amount of spots, the right amount of people carrying something, and then whoever it is that takes it off has that moment in front of all of them standing on top of a ladder, like King of the World. Like, I think that would have been perfect for the United States title.
But then again, because it's Logan Paul, if someone's going to take the title off of him, they should be beating him individually. And I think, LA Knight should have been that person. So kind of leads me into my prediction for it, really, which is that I think Logan Paul is going to retain and should retain, because Randy Orton don't need the TMZ article, and neither does Kevin Owens. Owens isn't, of the same stature as Orton, don't get me wrong, but still a very kind of comfortable in his position made WWE guy. So it's not like he would be getting that stepping stone like LA Knight would be getting. So for me, if it's not the right people, it's not the right time either. So I think Logan Paul should retain, and I think he probably will. Sludge Sports thinks that Rhea might get to 1,000 days. I mean, we've had so many long reigns lately. 1,000 is a long time off, though, isn't it? I mean, that would have been strange to hear said about Roman. We wouldn't have thought that back then. But look, we bypassed it.
She's got like another year and a bit to go then.
Well, just under 2. Even recently, CM Punk saying I was Paul Heyman guy before you, Roman. Oh yeah, so I missed that comment.
Yeah.
Actually, the critic said that CM Punk inducting Heyman would have been a good shout as well. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I'm disappointed that it's not LA Knight. So if it's not going to be LA Knight, it shouldn't be anyone, in my opinion. It should stay, and maybe that can happen next month or in 2 months' time, or maybe that's the big story in Backlash. LA Knight wins the US title in France. I mean, that's a bit odd, but there we go. Yeah, I'm going Logan Paul on this one.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I feel Owens really doesn't need a title to be in a good position, and neither does Randy. Yeah. And if Randy's all about giving back to the company, and Owens obviously is in the same boat, like he gets it. I think having Logan go over, and then whoever beats Logan gets a bigger moment.
You still got the same issue though of what we were first concerned about with Logan is that, I mean, first of all, giving the Titans one was great marketing, having it in the background of his podcast and all the little funny skits he did online. But at the same time, he's not there all the time. He's been around a lot lately, to be fair, for this storyline. But obviously, he's not at every PLE even. So, like, the title does need to get off of him eventually. But
but the problem is if you take the title off of Logan, what do you do with him now?
It has to mean something first of all with the title, which is, again, we keep going back to LA Knight. But Logan could go easily move to another feud. I mean, there's a common theme with Logan Paul. If he interviews you, he's going to have a match with you. So he'll probably have a match with Rhea Ripley soon or something like that, because she was his latest guest.
I mean, our prime thing would be if, let's say, for example, Logan does drop the title to whoever it is. Logan's one of these people that can have the Money in the Bank briefcase, because he could literally... He can turn up whenever he needs to, which would work better in his favor. Also, while we're talking about Logan, do you want to talk about the Prime sponsorship?
It's going to be at Mania, isn't it?
I believe so. I did see a funny thread
on X of iconic moments if they had the Prime logo and someone photoshopped the logo into the mat on like really famous WWE moments in history, and it was a weird sight, but it is what it is, man. Like, it's kind of surprising they haven't done this in the past. So yeah,
I mean, look, I get it, but I mean, AEW has had it, WCW I think at one time's had it,
but they don't. A lot of wrestlers have complained that it's dangerous that you slip on it and stuff like that. It depends on the material, I guess. But
could you? I mean, the around that having it embedded onto an actual canvas,
rather than
on top, I guess would be.
It depends how they make it. Yeah, but I mean, again, it is where it is. Like, I understand, financially, it's
money, man. And I mean, if you've got someone that's one of your champions, and that's the sponsor,
it's great for both sides.
It goes exactly.
I mean, that's without knowing the deals and the financials and stuff like that. But it does seem to kind of make sense both ways around. A critic says Randy to win. Logan goes after the world heavyweight title after Mania, because Logan said in his podcast, I want the world heavyweight title. I wouldn't be surprised if he did go in that direction. I mean, he did, just like LA Knight, have a Saudi Arabian match with
I think there's so many people on the pecking order
Roman Reigns, but
for Logan to be next on that line.
I don't think he's next. But take a little step back. But this would have been a good time to take it off him. But we keep going back to it. LA Knight.
What do we know?
I know. Let's move on to a match that I think everybody feels the same way about, surely, which is that it's been massively underpushed, and that is the Royal Rumble winner, Bayley, going up against Io Sky in a ready-made feud that is years in the making, that makes a lot of sense, that we were excited to see. It kind of like looked like that would be what they'd do, and that was what they did. Sometimes you go with the obvious story and it works, but they kind of took their foot off the gas straight away, it felt, after the Rumble. It's not until recently it started to kind of pick back up. I mean, you had that fantastic scene where she revealed she'd learned Japanese and knew they were talking about her and all this kind of stuff. It was great. And the most similar storyline we talked about before this even took place is, the Evolution stuff with Randy Orton being turned on by Triple H, and also Batista eventually as well being turned on by Triple H. But I still think it could be great. I'll hold back on too much talk about how we think it would go down because we did it on another pod. I think when we were doing our chamber predictions, where you said about the Bailey buddies and all that kind of stuff. I think we'll leave that. I think it's great. I think it's a great idea, and I hope they do it. But we'll kind of pick up on that, I guess, on the build-up show because we don't want to spend too long here. But let's get into the match itself. It doesn't make any sense to keep the title in EO. So for me, Bailey has to win. And we said it earlier on, the star of the pandemic era. She's never really had a WrestleMania moment. She deserves it. And there was, I think, straight after the pandemic when the fans came back, she wasn't even on WrestleMania. And it still feels like she's not getting what she deserves here. But like, at least a title win at WrestleMania will kind of make up for. It's not what it could have been, but it's still a title win at WrestleMania. So I think that's what they should do and probably will do.
Yeah, I'll be quite quick with it. I feel like Bailey is definitely winning. On a build-up, obviously, we'll discuss the idea of things like that. However, a little thing in my mind is saying Bailey's had no help at all throughout this entire thing since she's turned face, right? And basically got kicked out of Damage Control, been the face, and done this whole build.
Yeah.
Or lack of. Imagine if the one person that comes out and helps Bailey, the ultimate fan of Bailey, which is Izzy at Mania, comes out to help again. I just feel like that would be such a
but not like
face.
It's cool if she was. I know she's trained to be a wrestler, but like
she's had matches.
But she's not about to be signed by WWE and put in a big wrestling.
No, but
so that's a story you do. If it was 5 years later or something like that, and times of the line, that would make that'd be a nice moment. Don't get me wrong. But
I mean, I'm for it. It'd be interesting. I mean, Bailey hasn't.
Mate, if Nicholas can become tag champ with Braun Strowman, then anything can happen. But gonna get to a few comments here. So I know Sludge popped out, so was delayed by an hour. You were on the Becky and Rhea match. Asked if we've done the IC. We have done the IC, mate. If you go back, you'll still be able to check it out. But if not, stick with us live, and then maybe when we're finished, go back and talk about it there. But we've done the IC title now. We have just got the Bloodline ones to go now. So let's get onto that in just a moment. But comment here from Acrylic again. Not next, but he's annoyed most of the pecking order and beaten some of them. Is that in relation to Logan Paul, of course? Yeah, no, I get what you mean. But let's wrap up the women's title match. As much as we say it deserves more airtime, we're not getting a lot either. But that's because, again, we want to go in depth on the build-up show come the weekend. So I'm going with Bailey. Are you going Bailey then completely?
I am.
You're locking it in? All right, cool. Yeah. So we've got both of us going for Bailey. Now we're going to get into the Bloodline matches now, guys. We are getting right towards the end of the stream. Thank you all for joining us. Really have appreciated having you with us tonight. It's been a real good one. This has been the red carpet preview. We did one of these last year. It was our way to kind of get ourselves real hyped up as we are in touching distance to the big, grandest stage of them all, extravaganza, as they say, this weekend. But tomorrow, Dan and Lucas come back with their predictions as well. They're going to do a predictions and preview show on this very channel. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. And as we said, we'll be back on the night of WrestleMania, night 1 and night 2, to bring you our kind of most up-to-date thoughts with the build-up show leading into both nights. It's, again, where we kind of have these wild streams. Anything can happen. All the rumors are flying around and everybody's in a great mood talking about the PLE. And it's obviously 10 times more exciting when it comes to a WrestleMania stream as well. Acrylic says, hugger section, bring back the blow up wobble inflatables. That's exactly it. And we touched on it about a month or so ago. And I know we're going to pick up on that again on the build up show as well, because that is something that both me and Rob want to see. But let's fantasy book that on the weekend. Now, let's get into going back to the end of night 1, because as we said earlier on, it does, of course, play a big role in our predictions for night 2 as well. So let's pick up where we left off with that one, Rob. You think The Rock is going to be pinning Cody Rhodes and that they're going to get Bloodline Rules? I'm not sure. I thought the Bloodline Rules was a good way to kind of have all the shenanigans, which I do think is going to happen. But also, we have Bloodline Rules on Raw to kind of, as you said earlier on, tell us what a Bloodline Rules match or was it not? Was that delivering on the fake promise of a Bloodline Rules match so that we never ever went, oh, but what was that supposed to be then? I never found out what a Bloodline Rules match was. Because now we know what it is, so they don't have to do it anymore. People aren't going to feel like they've missed out because they were like, oh, it was just a hardcore match, basically. However you want to call it, no DQ, whatever else. So I'm not so sure it is going to be Bloodline Rules. I don't know. But the other side of it is that if the babyfaces do lose, it feels like surely it should be Seth Rollins taking the pin.
See, I would agree, but I need to disagree. I'll give you my whole rundown of as to why.
Go on.
I think Seth, again, is just the person in this build. The whole thing is about Cody. Roman beat Cody unclean the first time, right? Seth, Roman has never beaten Seth. We know this now from past.
Yeah.
Right? So if Rock pins either Cody or Seth clean, Roman will be jealous. So if it's Seth and Cody that are pinned by The Rock, both of them like stacked up like Roman does before Mania, he takes the pin.
But that looks
Roman's
terrible for Cody, though.
No,
he looks terrible going into night two.
Because that's step one, right? Second night of Bloodline Rules. All the shenanigans happen. And then if Roman is so sick of The Rock, at this point, we know he's... I mean, if you talk about this feud, Roman versus Cody, who's the main person that's spoken and carried this feud? The Rock. Nothing to do with Roman. Rock's done everything.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine Rock gets the starlight everywhere. Every time he's on something, on a show, it's him talking about him and Cody. He's hand delivered and promised everything. Roman's done nothing other than sit and watch in the background. So imagine if on the night Rock takes the pin away from him that Roman wanted to be able to beat Cody and Seth at the same time.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Night two, Roman gets jealous. Roman turns on Rock. That's why we need the Bloodline Rules.
Okay.
Everyone's there. Roman turns on Rock, setting up something with them. Rock turns around. Rock's bottoms. Cody gets the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Cody's victorious.
That's not a bad idea because, I mean, the big thing here for me is, whether or not Rock turns, right, and costs Roman. And all along I've been thinking, well, that's clearly what we're doing. Like, The Rock has been incredible as a heel, and I think we'll touch on that a bit more in the build-up show as well, because things have changed quite a bit since we last spoke about this as well, and it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on the way it's panned out. But going to the match itself, or the two matches, I do think, again, it all hinges on whether or not The Rock turns, but that's a great way of putting it. Maybe he doesn't, to kind of straight, because I feel like he's just going to be sick of Roman Reigns, but he's been so heelish lately. It would be weird to batter Cody like that and then help him like 10 days later. Like what he did to Cody just feels like you can't come back from that quickly. So that's a very clever way of doing it, of being like, it's more that Roman is a twat. Like, like I don't like him and he turned on me first or something like that. So because it kind of feels like we are moving away from the possibility of The Rock turning, but we know eventually we're getting a match between the two of them surely anyway. Like we have to get that.
I feel
bad timing, but
I feel like, when Rock does one of these moments, or in the Attitude Era, or like in the 2000s kind of thing, where something happens to The Rock. So The Rock, and Austin would have done the same thing. It's a generic thing that these guys done back then. They would do their finisher, talk dirt trash to him, leave the ring, and let the person just be on their own. So imagine if Rock was to give Roman the rock bottom, talk crap to him, look at Cody, and just shrug, and then go backstage. The crowd would be insane.
Yeah, but then Roman has to kick out. Cody can't win on help from someone else, in my opinion. Even though I do think
I'm not against a kick out from Roman.
Yeah.
But
it has to be because he was playing there for ages. Cody finally got on top, but yeah. Cody has the baby.
But I'm not against take advantage. I feel like that's what I think we'll get.
So I think has to be a backfire.
Yeah.
Something's going to backfire for the Bloodline, and Cody will benefit from it, but only because it was them trying to do something bad and it didn't work out, rather than like someone just straight. I know there's all this talk of John Cena and Austin, and that'll be interesting to go into again on the build-up shows. But even if that does or doesn't happen, it can't be like Cody settles the score. Like it needs to be, typically with a baby faces because they've evened things, and like they're getting their own back and whatever else, they're making things even. So that has to happen, but Cody can't win based on someone else doing something, like it needs to carry on after that. And then Cody has to
100%.
beat
I feel like
Roman
that
Reigns.
rock bottom is an FU moment to Roman. It's like, I am the final boss and you've just crossed me. So I am going to cross you. I feel like that is that because it switches Rock back to babyface. Fans still hate Roman. And then when The Rock gives a rock bottom to Roman, you think the crowd are going to be silent. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Like,
and we know, like, they're going to clash. And again, it's a great feud. I've wanted it for years, but it just was misplaced. And I do think
it sets it up perfect as well.
There is that whole thing, though, of like, well, if they weren't going to do the Cody match, why are they suddenly going to give him the title? But it would be crazy. And I said it this time last year, but it would be crazy if they didn't let Cody win the title. A few comments here before we do finalize our predictions. Acrylic Galaxy says, Sikoa to pin Cody, which annoys Rock, and Roman, which causes issues within the faction. Rock turns on Roman. Cody wins title night 2. Sikoa's not in the match, though. So how does... I guess what does just kind of help, basically, because no rules.
I mean, technically, the match is still down from last.
Oh, runs in because he's fed up being a background enforcer, critic things, which sets up a Roman feud. I think eventually Solo probably turns on Roman if you don't turn him babyface too soon, as in Roman himself, and sets up a one-on-one where Cody wins. So critic thinks Cody's going to win. All right, let's scale backwards then. So tag team match on night 1. Who's winning that one?
Tag team match night 1, the Hills, Rock and Roman are winning.
All right, so you think Rock and Roman? Oh man, I'm really torn on the night 1 side of things, because I think you can get to what you want to do either way. I don't think it needs to be a Bloodline Rules, but that does allow for the shenanigans. But it feels a bit too obvious.
I think this is my issue. If Rock and Rome, if Cody and Seth win night 1, for night 2, anything happens.
Don't mean as much, really, as
exactly. I feel like if we know the shenanigans are going to happen and they're going to be there, and we know because it's Bloodline Rules, anything can happen. More possibilities open,
and it's supposed to make you feel like, oh, the Bloodline, they've got to do it now because everything's on in their
everything's
favor.
on their side.
They're getting on fine, but then they don't because something turns against. Yeah, all right, I'm with you on that. Actually, I think Rock and Roman have to win on night 1. Night 2. To be fair, I'll let you go first that time, so I'll go first on this one. Night 2. So we're both saying that the Heels have won. They're going into this as a Bloodline Rules match. It's going to allow for a million shenanigans. Will there be John Cena? Will there be Stone Cold Steve Austin? Will there be Jimmy and Jey? Will there be Solo? Will The Rock turn? We're going to get into that in more detail on our build-up shows on the weekend. But plainly, right now, does Cody Rhodes win the title? Yes, he has to. And I will be furious if he doesn't. I mean, it will go back to, and we said it last time, and I don't want to go on about it again and again. You go back and watch the streams. It ruins Drew not winning at Clash. It makes that worse. It makes Sami Zayn not winning at Chamber even worse. It makes Cody not winning himself even worse. It makes giving Cody 2 Royal Rumbles when it could have been someone else's spot even worse.
Back to back. That would have main event is 3 parts of a WrestleMania in 2 years.
yeah. Like, and just like they need to capitalize. Cody is unbelievable. He's on fire. It needs to be Cody Rhodes, and that is it now. Like there was a time where I thought it should be Drew. I thought it should be Sami Zayn, and if it weren't them, it can't be anyone else. It can't. It has to be Cody Rhodes. So for me, I'm going to have faith in WWE that they are going to pull off one of the most memorable kind of endings to a title match at WrestleMania history, and they're going to give Cody his moment to finish the story.
Yeah. So, man, it's really weird because all the time that we've been talking since we've been doing this podcast from way back when Roman won it. And then we got to the 1,000 days, and then we got to this, and then and I've been saying, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do this then. If they're going to do it now, it should have been on this day. It should have been on this day. A part of me thinks Roman retaining, it leaves a bad. No, this is what I'm going to say. It leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouths, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But at this point, it doesn't actually do anything. It just means Roman's again still being forced, like he's being pushed down our throats again. There's nothing much more that he can do. The next big thing for Roman after this whole feud is The Rock.
Yeah, and
if Roman retired, that would be it. Like, he wouldn't need to do it. He doesn't need to win a Money in the Bank, and he doesn't. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need to do those sort of things.
As we said months ago, that feud doesn't need the title, but it's just weird that they were gonna do it with the title.
I think taking away the title, I think they realized this doesn't need the title.
But that's what scares me, because last year you think he didn't win it last year, Cody, because he was gonna win it the year later. But if that turns out that weren't the case, or maybe it was the case and then they pivoted to The Rock and then they pivoted back away from The Rock, then that makes me think that there's still something in them that won't give it to Cody at Mania. And that terrifies me, because I think it would be such a mistake.
I think too much now has gone on. I mean, if you think about, let's go back and think about the last feud that Cody had. It was against Brock. All right, the last proper feud Cody had was against Brock. Now, the person Brock has beat Roman.
Yeah.
Like, it's setting up. Brock has also beaten The Rock.
As annoying as the year drag out has been, it did help. And if the idea was always to be like, we're going to make next year even bigger, I don't know if they really were doing that. Like, it kind of felt like it was, all right, we're back here. I was annoyed. Remember, at the end of the Rumble, I was really angry that Cody was back in the exact same position as last year. I felt like it was justification for being annoyed that it should have happened the year before. But if I'm being honest, as you said earlier on, The Rock has made Cody somehow an even bigger star. The whole point last year was like he massively deserved it. It was the right person last year. If I thought that then my goodness, do I mean it now?
I would say, if there was ever been a bigger babyface in wrestling history, right, as of ever, right now we are witnessing it happen with Cody Rhodes. I actually think
he's not as big as like Hogan and Cena in their prime.
But in the way I do think he could be turned in that way. Yeah, he's in such the underdog position.
He's on that journey, same as LA Knight. He could be more than he is as well. But
I mean, with Hogan was the big guy. Say your prayers, and Cena. We had the Let's Go Cena scene. Like with Cody, other than the AEW stuff, when the fans were booing him. Right,
it's pretty. It's
in regards to this,
everyone's behind him.
Pretty much, it seems. When was the last time that we had something this similar? Was the Daniel Bryan movement?
Yeah.
Right, and I would say this is bigger than Bryan. This whole thing is bigger than Bryan.
It's a big claim, because that was huge 10 years ago as well. WrestleMania 30.
Put it this way: the last time we had this moment, right? In comparison, the last time we had this moment was, let's say, the Daniel Bryan thing, taking the WrestleMania, occupying Raw, and all that stuff. Bryan had to do 2 nights. He had to do 2 matches one night, the beginning of the show and at the end of the show, right? With this, though, the outcry and the backlash was so bad that they had to turn The Rock heel, because Cody was more over than The Rock. No one gets more over than The Rock. That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of like things that led to that, right? But there's a lot of like unique circumstances. But again, it's led to this position where it is like, you can't doubt it. It's it's on fire. They can't miss this opportunity again.
I think they've learned their lesson very, very quickly, and the way fans act. So, as much as I would be like, look, Roman becoming the number 2 of all time, I don't think that number matters.
It's not even about Cody being in the match. It will seem so tone deaf if they go, "Oh, we gave you what you wanted. We turned Rock heel. We made Cody Cody still got a match." It's like,
but no one wanted the Rock heel.
He needs to win. Cody needs to win. The whole point of this whole thing is Cody winning. So like it'd be for nothing. As much as I've enjoyed a lot of what The Rock's done, and the Bloodline dynamic as well, And again, we'll touch on that a bit more during the build-up, and we'll try and get some guests, our friends from the media, to join us as well. But yeah, ultimately, Cody needs to win. And I know this time last year, I'm just thinking about myself being in the same positions and the same things and feeling like a bit of a fool. But now I'm like, okay, like that was one thing, but this is something else.
I think if it hadn't been built this way, I would have said maybe Roman still retains. But the fact that they have done everything and anything, and bringing in The Rock, having to make The Rock heel in order to make Cody even a bigger, which it has done, I think they would be.
It'd be crazy
ridiculed.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I was going to say, it feels almost too obvious. Like, I'm like, I was going to say to you, like, would you bet your house on it, sort of thing, right? But the beauty of it is that last year's crap finish puts that doubt in the back of your mind. So even though you feel like this is obviously the right thing to do, I also felt like that last year. So if anything, it kind of does help me go, you know what, even though it's obvious, when it happens, it's going to feel like, I can't believe they've actually done this. Whereas last year, it felt like, oh, of course they're going to do it. It's the right thing to do. But because weirdly enough, it kind of works in their favor, where it's like, because they annoyed everyone last year, everybody's scared that they're going to do it again. And it will mean so much more if they don't do it again.
Yeah,
you know?
I think they're going to pull out all the stops this year, man, for this moment. Because it's what I'm saying, because they need that moment to go into Bloodline Rules. I mean, I don't know what the rules and regulations are with AEW and stuff like that. But imagine if Dustin's there. Like Dustin Rhodes comes in. Like, just to help. It's just something there. Walks out into the middle of that ring and hugs Cody afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, we get those moments. And I think they come once in a lifetime at best for some people. And I think they've realized how important this whole entire moment is for Cody. And the fans are so invested in it. Like I think you have to do it that way. So I don't know. I think Cody's going to do it. I think it has to happen now.
We're locked in, both of us. Cody Rhodes. It'd be great to see what Dan and Lucas come up with tomorrow, if they're thinking the same as us on some of these points. But what I know from doing this stream, Rob, is that I'm in the mood for WrestleMania now. I think it's looking like it could be one of the greatest of like the modern era. You know, that's always the case of WrestleMania. You know, sometimes a card can look underwhelming but be way better than you expected. Sometimes a card will look incredible and, you know, not deliver. But it looks like we have the potential for some amazing moments. Speaking of which, Acrylic says, last comment you were talking about the next big luchador. It's not Ray. It's not the new guy. Rob debuts the Raw after WrestleMania as the ultimate luchador. There you go, Rob. And there's something you should tell us. Have you got a plane ticket to the States? Are you, showing up on the Raw after Mania?
I'm not allowed to confirm nor deny my attendance or involvement.
Oh, wise. But will you confirm your attendance, though, for this weekend's action, mate? You joining me back here on the build-up shows?
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, literally, I'm already behind with NXT by 8 minutes, so I've got to play catch up for NXT. All right, and I'll fill you in on that. That Stand and Deliver as well, by the way, is going to be amazing. And I want to try and do a watch along.
About that. Yeah, we'll try and do some sort of content around it if we can. As you say, there's a lot of wrestling going on the next few days, and a lot of stuff we will be covering on this channel for sure. But we'll try and give you a few bonus clips here and there as well. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, guys. If you have already, thank you so much for coming back and joining us once again. Thank you to Rob for joining me, and thank you to everyone that's been commenting along tonight. It's been great getting you involved with the action as well. If you've been watching in the background, we appreciate you as well. Even if you haven't been watching, and if you're watching on demand, drop some comments and let us know what you feel about WrestleMania. What match are you most looking forward to? Do you agree with our opinions here? Are you a Cody crybaby, like it seems that me and Rob, I guess, technically would be? Are you in the camp of Bayley finally getting a WrestleMania moment? What do you think's happening with Drew McIntyre going into Glasgow? There's loads of interesting scenarios here to kind of dissect as well. So once again, thank you all for joining us tonight. We will be back again tomorrow. Well, not myself and Rob, but other members of this channel in the form of Dan and Lucas, again, giving their predictions on the WrestleMania predictions and preview show. And again, we'll be back on the weekend with our build-up shows on both Saturday night and Sunday night, just the hours before the PLE, leading you into it. We'll have those streams up on this channel soon. So again, make sure you subscribe so you know when we're going to be going live. And then beyond that, we'll try our best to keep you up to date with all the goings on in the world of pro wrestling as well. Rob, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
No, man. If anything, it's got me excited for Mania. I'm annoyed that it's only Tuesday.
I know, yeah, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot there, right? You know, I kind of want to watch it tonight, you know, but there we go. Again, you know what? Come the build up, we can get ourselves even more hyped. We'll be like Mojo Rawley. We don't just get hype, we stay hype. And we're going to have to stay hype for a few more days because, as you say, it's a while away. It is 10 past midnight here in the UK, though, guys, but it's been a long one. And thank you for staying up with us wherever you are around the world. And thank you in general for supporting us here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I've been Scott. This one's been Rob. This has been the red carpet preview for WrestleMania. We'll see you on the next stream.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.